What do you mean you lost it? What do you friggin' mean you friggin' lost it? My stepsister yelled. I wish I could honestly go back in time to before I convinced Lexi to lend me her college fund. Unfortunately, time travel isn't my forte. Hi, I'm Tyler, and I lost my yandere stepsister's money in Bitcoin, and now I have to let her live with me for free and become her servant. But before we go deeper into my story, don't forget to subscribe. Give this video a thumbs up and hit that notification bell icon to show your support for me. So, yeah, we've all heard of Bitcoin success stories, but horror stories about cryptocurrencies we don't really hear about that much. At least, I didn't. And I wish I had. Then I would have been much more careful with my stepsister's money. Or I wouldn't have even tried to get into the whole crypto scene. At least, not with someone else's cash. My sister's always been there for me. She took care of me whenever our parents would go on a business trip. She was basically the parent whenever we were left alone at home for months on end. And when my stepdad and mom disappeared at the age of 18, my stepsister became my sole guardian and de facto parent. She inherited most of our parents' stuff. I mean, I got some money, but I insisted we use it all to pay off the house. That way, we would at least have a home that is ours. Lexi eventually moved out for college, though, and so I had to learn how to look out for myself. I first heard of Bitcoin from some friends. They were making so much cash from buying and selling it, and I badly wanted in on the action. Who among us hasn't dreamt of being a Bitcoin millionaire? Can you blame me? Well, I guess Lexi does. See, I already paid for our house, and so I didn't know where to get capital to start my Bitcoin venture. I called Lexi one day to ask her for a favor. Hey, Lex, I said. You need money, don't you? She said. I could hear from the way she breathed that she was already judging me. How do you know? I said, amazed at how well she knew me. How much? She asked. I don't know. How would you feel about 1,000? I said. 1,000? What are you getting into now? Please don't tell me you're in trouble or something, said Lexi. I chuckled. No, I'm not in trouble, I promise. I want to get into Bitcoin. It's getting astronomical now, you know? And it's not too late to get in on it. I have some friends, and they're making a killing, I said. For some reason, Lexi just said, yeah, okay. I was expecting having to reason with her and convince her about the pros of cryptocurrency for a good hour. But she must have gotten off the right side of the bed that day. She transferred the money into my account that day, and I bought Bitcoin as soon as I saw the price dip. Everything was fine in the beginning. I was earning a couple bucks here and there as I started to get used to trading. But then, one day, I started losing money. And it only got worse. Less than a month since I started, I already lost half of my capital. Hang in there, bro, my friends told me. They said that was normal, and that I would get the hang of it eventually. And that I should treat that period as a trial and error phase. Did every trial result end in an error? And then, I woke up one day, and all my crypto was gone. Bro, I asked Nate, one of my crypto friends. I lost everything. It's normal, bro, he told me. Just keep doing it. You'll get the hang of it. You should reinvest. I'm sure by now you've learned a lesson or two. You can apply your new knowledge this time. And I'm sure you'll do better. How much did you put in, anyway? 1,000? I replied. Nate laughed. Nah, bro. 1,000's nothing. You can make that back in an instant. Let me give you a piece of advice. You better think about putting in more than that. You need money to make money, you know? And if you put in a small amount, you'll be making sense. And yet, I thought $1,000 was a lot. How much do you think I should put into Bitcoin? I asked Nate. Do you have 10,000? Said Nate. I stopped to think. I may have a way to raise that kind of money, I said. Try it, said Nate. I promise you'll be making thousands in no time. But I had no game. None at all. My instincts were awful. Where did I get the money, you ask? Well, I guess you could say I borrowed it from my sister's account. I figured I paid for our house. Maybe I could borrow a little bit from her college fund and count it as her contribution to the mortgage. I'll pay it back. Of course I was going to pay it back. As soon as I'd made up the money. I just didn't want her finding out I'd already lost the first 1,000 she lent me. I kept losing and losing, though. Every time I thought I'd figure out the dips and peaks of the Bitcoin market, it would prove me wrong. I lost the 10,000 again. And that's how the spiral truly began. I convinced myself that if I just kept going, I would eventually get it all back. Like some big shot high roller at a casino who's convinced that all it would take is one big win. 2 months later, I'd lost a little over $100,000. I had essentially emptied my sister's college fund. And I knew it was any moment now that she was going to find out when she went and tried to pay her tuition. Every time my phone rang, I would jump from surprise and fear. One day, my sister's name finally came up on my phone. She screamed at me the moment I hesitantly answered the call. "What do you mean you lost it? What do you friggin' mean you friggin' lost it?" My stepsister yelled. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Lex. Please. I'll get it back. I promise. I begged. "You'll get it back?" She screamed over the phone. "How are you going to get back $106,000? How dare you steal from me? I take care of you, Tyler. I've been there for you ever since you were little. And you steal my college fund? For what? For this stupid get-rich-quick scheme?" I didn't know what to say. I didn't have an excuse. I broke down. I sobbed and sobbed into the phone, guilty and not knowing what to do. Lexi comforted me. Shh. Don't cry. We'll figure this out. I'm sorry I yelled at you," she said, and that got me to stop crying. Lexi came home. She had to sublet her apartment that she was renting for college so she could earn a bit and pay her tuition. She also got a part-time job. But when she came home, she was a totally different person from the Lexi who always comforted and cared for me. One moment, she would be sweet and caring, and the next, she would be a tyrant. I was good at drawing, and she pushed me to do a bunch of drawings and paintings that she could put on sale. Day and night, she would crack the whip. If I was taking a break and not doing anything, she'd put a blank piece of paper in front of me. That was my cue to work for her. I had to make up the money I lost for her. And I had to start somewhere. And so I didn't blame her for working me to death. She moved back in with me so she didn't have to pay rent. And one day she said, "Selling your art online isn't gonna make us $100,000 just like that. I'm signing up for an online job in addition to my part-time gig at the cafe. But you'll do the work for me. And when I come home, tired from school or work, you will serve me. I'll be too tired to cook or clean. You're doing all that stuff from now on. You understand?" I nodded. I could never say no. She was right. I owe it to her. And so I served her. Before Lexi would wake up, I would have her coffee and breakfast ready. I would make her lunch boxes so she didn't have to buy lunch at school, thus saving us money. At night, there would be dinner waiting for her, and every single thing that needed to be done at the house, I took care of it. I did her laundry, I cleaned her room, I went grocery shopping, and I made sure everything her online jobs required were taken care of. I cannot begin to explain how bad I felt for draining her college fund because of my mistakes. I should have quit while I was ahead. I should have accepted that I wasn't good at trading, but like every guy who's ever gambled, I fell into the pull of the game, and I lost big. I was willing to do whatever she wanted me to do, but suddenly everything took a turn for the worse. Lexi was up to her ears in stress. She had school, work, upcoming exams, and the fact that her stepbrother stole her tuition money. She was becoming toxic. And because of all that, the guy she was seeing broke it off with her. If she wasn't broken before, that breakup was the straw that broke the proverbial camel's back. Lexi never cried. She dealt with it in other ways. For instance, she made me work harder than before. She needed more food, more care, more attention. And then one night she told me, "Come here, give me a back massage." I reluctantly agreed, but something told me a storm was brewing in the horizon.